Hello and welcome to my, at least currently known, world record Conquerer Codex boss run. I wanted to show you a overview of my team. Ron and me, we were using the same team, going back and forth and pushing each other higher on the score. This is definitely not the maximum that you can reach, but at least so far from my knowledge, this is a world record. I only know about Forerunner and Global. Unfortunately, I have no clue where the Asia server is with their points. But we so far haven't been able to push above 3 million, and this time around we're going back and forth, Ron me, pushing each other higher, at least in the beginning days, day by day. And this is where at least we've stopped now. I won't say that like that because I definitely know that we can push higher. There are a few awakenings, for example, with Gone, and I have an artifact that I can still go higher on. Obviously, gear can pretty much always be improved, so there's still some room to improve on. To just quickly run over the champs, this is the Gone build that I was running. This is more damage gun, less of a just tanky gun. He's supposed to deal a little bit of damage. This is just to min-max it a bit more. He's not going to be a total damage dealer or anything, like, no doubt. But he is going to deal a few thousand, or I think it's a few million damage, so that is still relevant to the end score. This can be improved on. I'm not having the best damage Wings of Grace gear yet. Like, here's crit damage missing, for example. Here we actually have decent ones, but the rolls are a little bit low, and I know this one, for example, is the HP main with shitty subs. At least they're bad rolled. So there's still a lot of room, I feel like, to improve on. Awakening wise, the A2 would be huge, just to push the damage output of your team by another 5%. That would be an incredible push. So next time around, if I get that, I will definitely try to again to push way higher. Way higher, we're talking about several thousands. And artifact wise, I was going with the Dragon Blood Goblet just to have more defense and damage output once he's taking damage, and he's always going to take damage, so you have permanent uptime of that artifact. Ardea, I mean, there's nothing special to her build. I think that's known by now. Solvent Arcana and Wicked Vengeance, just to have the best stats on left side, and Arcana is going to benefit a lot on your on the dual blades of her. From a raw wouldn't do that. Awakening wise, obviously you want to go as high as possible, especially A3 and I5 are going to be big. A3 is going to increase the duration of her ult by a second each time she kills someone, up to 10 times. So it's, I think, 25 seconds if I remember correctly of her ult then. And her A5 is going to give her rage back once she triggers a dual blade. So those circular blades, I think I just refer to them as dual blades. This obviously gets her back to her ult way faster, and it's going to be quite important towards the end. An artifact, we're going with the new Shattered Hilt because for whatever reason, even though her basic attack says she hits up to 7 enemies at a time, this is not an AoE hit where she hits once and it triggers for everyone at the same time. For whatever reason, it registers everyone after another, so they are actually seven single hits after another while hitting once and hitting everyone. It's stupid, but it's just the way it works. At the same time, we're not going to hit at max range, so Ramtier is going to lose a lot of benefit from that, which is why it just makes Shattered Hilt the best one for her. Cerberus, I think there isn't anything new about him either. You would want to have pieces with attack percentage main, crit rate, crit damage, HP percentage, and as the fourth stat either, I feel like, defense percentage or flat attack, one of the two. He doesn't benefit from attack speed, so you can just drop that, it's not necessary. Awakenings, you would want to have the A5 back in the days, so pre-Lubu this was a huge deal because it's going to start your boss rush quite a bit earlier. I felt that, unfortunately, whenever I saw someone else running that team in our guild, and yeah, they had the A5 of Saros and I didn't. This changed a bit after Lubu because he's going to increase the speed of your team in pre-boss rush quite a bit. But otherwise you would want to have that as possible, or if possible. And Luna's Visor, yeah, as I said, I think this is nothing new. He can heal himself with Luna's Visor. Lubu you can pretty much run in every set right side. Infernal Rossel, Montacano, or Cataclysm all work. The A3 is going to be the biggest one for him, so that he has the opportunity to execute enemies if they're dropping below a certain threshold. A4 obviously also big. A5, I think, if I remember correctly, is pretty much irrelevant for this one, because this is only once he dies and he's not supposed to die. A2, whatever. A1 obviously big, but if we're talking about you wouldn't have A3 and A4, you would have A1 already. Artifact, ideally you have his exclusive on a high rank. Compared to Eye of Sin, it's just going to give you a more consistent damage increase. On a max rank, it's going to push the AoE damage to 30%. Compared to Eye of Sin, obviously Eye of Sin also has the option to reach the same numbers, but you would have to kill someone first to get the bonus. So this is more consistent, you have this all the time, plus then you have the bonus of reducing the trigger interval of his passive, which is going to be a big deal. Valkyria,
never falls.
You would want to have her in good gear, obviously, but whether it's Infernal Raw, Cataclysm, Silver, Arcana, doesn't really make a difference. You can see, like, she's not even capped for me right now. There are a few percentages missing. She just doesn't have the best gear at all, but she's not as important. You want to run Frigid Flame as high awakened as possible. And last but not least, Magda. I was running her in the Wings of Grace, and then once again with damage, subs, so crit damage. Same here. Once again, they are not really good pieces. I still have a lot of room to improve on with that. I don't really recall. I didn't have her A2 when I was doing it. I mean, her awakenings are nice, but she's not really going to be a huge DPS factor. And then Frigid Flame last for the artifact. So that's the team. What we are doing is, just to run that menu, I'm going to have to take a look every now and then. We're going to run Magda one tile back now, meaning Lubu in the middle, Adair above, Saros in front, Magda behind, Valk here, and boosting Saros. So what we did now, we have the Wings of Grace on Saros and on Lubu. The only downside, in my opinion, with this setup is that we're not able to push Saros with Magda. So the only bonus is going to Valkyria and Adair. I removed Garn because I want to place him down later on facing the left side, so that his AoE passive hits on the left as well. Okay, so as you can see already, the passive triggers of Lubu are going to hit the whole line. This is pretty much what pushes the time in the beginning here. We trigger him instantly, just so that his AoE hits a bit stronger and we get through the beginning stage a bit faster. This is mostly just a waiting game here. There's nothing we can do about it. The faster we kill the mobs here, by the way, the faster the next one spawns. That was at least between the different waves always the case. And now here we want to kill them as fast as possible. We're now at 449. That's when we're going to start the boss rush. This can be a bit faster, can be a bit slower. Back in my days when I didn't have Lubu, I was starting at around 445. I know others that had, due to Cerberus, better timing, had a 450 plus times. Those few seconds actually made a big difference in the damage that you can put out during the boss rush. The beginning here isn't really relevant. there isn't much happening. You don't need a lot of ults to trigger. I've written my timings down, so I can just look it up at any time I want. Just stick to the run that I've done. So we go with 4 or 6 on Garn, Insta, Cerberus. Now we're just waiting for
Feel the flames.
The important part's going to be at the end, definitely, and especially with Ardea, that's where the runs are starting to make a big difference. Because Ardea with her blades is just a lot of RNG involved. Her ult's going to be up different timings for the end part.
Together, we
this
are the
is
shield.
where I can show
Evil
some scores
ends
afterwards
here.
as well. The end scores are just going to differ so much.
Evil ends here. Evil ends here.
Lubu just
Feel
Yeah.
the evil ends
made a
here.
big difference compared to the previous
Evil
teams,
ends
where
here.
we just didn't have anyone who was a huge deal breaker or anything, and he just got in. And the job he does isn't comparable to anyone in the game right now, because he's just hitting the whole range, everyone. While usually, if we were, for example, to bring in Uridin, he would only hit the row of Cerberus and Garn and his row. It's just not, damage-wise, not comparable.
Feel the flame.
Mind your heads.
So for me, I was usually, I think, reaching the triple S area at around somewhere in the 150 mark, I think, if I remember correctly. There's at some point the counter up here going to go up quite a lot, which is where we're going to make use of the long ult of Lubu the first time around. This is starting here now. As you can see, we are slowly reaching up to the 20 mark and whatever. And that's where he's going to shine and just dim out the waves that are coming right now.
Evil ends here.
What we ideally want is to then rotate
Evil
between
ends here.
the Nubu ult and Valk ult right now, trimming the wave, and then
Evil
going into
ends here.
Cerberus and Garn, just to Garn to keep
Evil
Cerberus
ends
alive,
here.
and at the end, then again go into Lubu
Evil ends
to
here.
just clear out the rest and push as high as possible.
Feel the
So
flames.
as you can see, they are starting right now to build up.
The crowds yearn for 7
That's why we want to go with Garn. That's what I wanted to do always, was just to
None
stop those
shall leave
AoE mobs
alive.
from passing.
The crowds
Triggers ult. Ideally, you make it that he dies during his ult. I don't know if this is going to work right now. That, as I said once again, has a lot of RNG. And doesn't seem to be the case. That actually cuts his damage by quite a lot.
No more, Jack.
Let's rewrite some history. Evil ends.
Now this is the last phase where you just trigger everything.
Evil ends.
Cerberus dies right in front of the
Feel
wall.
the flames.
As I said, he didn't die during his ult, that cuts his damage quite a bit.
Evil ends.
Usually we don't necessarily have that much or that many mobs in front of the wall,
Evil ends here.
and then we just wait out and see.
Evil ends
Garn
here.
dies, doesn't care, was actually gone, don't know. And then reach the end. So we didn't reach a 3 million score here, I know, but has different reasons. I didn't pay attention honestly to Ardea, whether she was during her ult at the end. So what perfect would be obviously is that she starts her ult at around like 2-0, 25, so that you can gain those 10 kills as well during the duration. So has her ult up until the end. Cerberus also didn't die during his ult. That makes a difference for like around about 100 million or so. So you can go way, way higher. Lubu damage is pretty much equal to that. We have like around 50 million on Garn. As I said, if you build him for damage, he will going to do a little bit. Those 50 millions obviously aren't like the deal breaker or anything, but this can make a difference for a few thousand points. Yeah, I can show just quickly my numbers again. As you can see, Lubu is a little bit lower, but therefore Cerberus is way higher. It's like 120 million or so. They are both a little lower here. So those damage numbers can vary a lot, and just to show that again, in the backlog record here, you can see those numbers jumping up and forth, and that's like 2.6 million is a huge difference compared to the above 3 million points. That's just going back and forth, and there are sometimes runs that can happen where in the beginning, before the boss rush starts, even though you killed all the mobs, so there are 3 monsters last coming out with an AoE area around them. If they die, usually you should start the boss rush, but sometimes the boss just has 1 or 2% left for whatever reason, I don't know, and that's why I just stopped the run. I've set up my team and then just continue to do auto and auto and auto it over and over again until some point had a good run. That's at least how I managed to this time around push the number, to my knowledge, as I said, to a world record. Currently holding this, hoping obviously that run isn't pushing within like the last hour even higher. Yeah, looking forward to the next time around to hopefully have some improvements and be able to push higher. Thanks a lot if you made it until here, and until then, if you need a codex guide for anything, hit me up, tell me about it, and I can take a look at it. Okay, until then, see ya, bye.